stop being so thirsty. Stop being so thirsty. I see a lot of you black men are very thirsty, and you got to learn how to control your urges. Understand, black men are very masculine men. We're masculine by nature. We have a high libido, but you have to be able to suppress that in this society. This is not a society that's conducive for relationship. This is a society where the rapport between men and women are completely destroyed. And really, they have the upper hand in the society as well. So you don't just go out and just behave in a way that's desperate and where they can use that against you. You never want to do that, because first of all, you should have self-respect, number one. And secondly, that brings the value of the group down. If they go outside and they see black men are the thirstiest men out there, they think that it's easy to get a black man. That's why you have a lot of these black men, they're walking around holding hands with some fat women. Some super over. Okay, I can't even say that on fucking YouTube. They're holding hands. You see these black men out there holding hands with, you see these black men outside holding hands with Jabba the Hutt, and they're in perfect shape. Perfect shape. These men are in perfect shape. 6-pack abs, but they're holding hands with Jabba the Hutt walking down the street without any shame, because they don't value themselves and they don't value the group. Okay, because really when you do things like that, the whole group goes down in value in the eyes of these women. You're not going to see men of certain cultures doing that. You're not going to see men of certain cultures walking around with women that look a particular way, especially if they're young, they're in their prime, they're not necessarily young, but they're in shape. They got things going for themselves. You're not going to see them walking around with certain women, because it's a status symbol as well to some extent, and it actually, it represents you. You know what I'm saying? It represents you. I mean, if a man is super obese and a woman's super obese, whatever, it is what it is. But I'm seeing dudes, black men that are in great shape, tall men. They're tall and great shape, good looking men. You know what I'm saying? No homo. And ultimately, they're just taking what they can get. Taking what they can get. Anything that'll deal with them long term, they're holding on to. And that's not the right mindset to have. That's a very scarcity mindset. And I'd rather be single forever than to sacrifice my dignity. You know what I'm saying? And it's not all about looks with women. I'm not saying that it's all about looks, but I am saying there's levels. There's a particular limit that you should have, and even the woman loses respect for you because she knows she's not doing what she needs to do to look a particular way. I don't mind if the woman is not the prettiest woman, but if she at least takes care of herself, that's respectable. You can deal with that. You can deal with that. Right? At least she put the work into herself to some extent. So you always want to make sure that you think about your own self-respect. When you're on these comment boards and you see people, a woman might say I like black men, and then all these guys will come, hi, I'm from Nigeria, hi, my name is. First of all, that's never gonna work. Has that ever worked for you in your life? No, it's never worked. Okay, so why do you think that's gonna work? That is making you look desperate. It's making you look desperate. And that's what you guys are doing. And really, what you're doing is you're destroying the image of the group. Because now when they look at me or they look at other black men, they think that we're the same way. And I'm nothing like that. They got to work to get my energy. I don't give out energy, and I'm not impressed by a woman that's fine. She could be a 10, whatever You know, I don't even really want a baddie because that's just another way of saying H to the O to the E to me. So I'm not even looking for that. But even if a girl is super gorgeous, that doesn't faze me. I'm numb to that. Doesn't matter. What is her character like? You know? And most of them are not, they're not exclusive today anyway. You know? For the most part. So it's not really that interesting. But, you know, if you are going to deal with them, at least have some self-respect and some standards of what you're dealing with. Stop being so damn thirsty. Thinking that's going to get you somewhere. That's not going to get you nowhere except for disrespected. That's what it's going to get you, disrespected. You know? Because that's what you accepted. You know, just like if you let a woman treat you a particular way, she's going to do it. She's going to test to see how far she can go. Damn cameraman. Excuse me. She's going to test to see how far she can go. And if you don't check her, she's going to keep going further and further and further and further. Why? Because you didn't check her the first time. Why? Because you didn't hold yourself to a particular standard. You have to hold yourself to a particular standard. Now, this is what this channel is about, holding yourself to a standard, an elite standard. Okay? So with that, I'm out.